Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. This is the Newsbeat presented to you by Gladys Like and Survivor. Follow the beat from the studio to the street. Info with the flow keeps you sharp and in the know. Sit back, relax, enjoy the news. Follow. The number of refugees is steadily rising across the globe, resulting into emergency of refugee camps and shelters in Africa, the Middle East and Europe. Living conditions in most of these refugee sanctuaries have deteriorated to unacceptable proportions, leading to suffering, disease and depression.
But as European countries continue to collectively shut down their borders to refugees, Uganda is being praised for its welcoming asylum policies. The policies are based on human rights for the refugees in despair, as they are granted freedoms that are hardly found anywhere.
Uganda has over 500,000 refugees from eastward to neighboring countries, and Nachivale camp is the biggest in the country with over 100,000 refugees.
However, as a result of economic and political considerations by the Ugandan government, it allocated land to some refugees within the settlements.
Nachivale camp now has tailor workshops, hairdressers, shops and pharmacies. Cattle is also reared in the areas of fertile grasslands by the nomadic refugees.
The children in the camp also have access to free education, and support is given by the United Nations High Commission for Refugees and non-government organizations.
Unlike other parts of the world, where asylum documents take months to process, refugees in Uganda are taken in without incidents.
However, there have been tensions between the refugees and the local population due to Uganda's policies, resulting in a scramble for the country's scarce and overstretched resources between the two communities.
And on that note, the Ugandan government, together with the partners, is working with the settlement transformation agenda to empower both host communities and the refugees in Uganda.
Uganda has been called the best place for refugees, not only for its policies and its peace and stability, but also for its citizens' warm hospitality. Brazil's economy has suffered its worst recession in more than 3 decades. Under the executive leadership of Dilma Rousseff as the country's head of state, the opposition is now in motion to remove Brazil's first elected female president less than halfway through her presidential mandate. The Brazilian Senate voted to suspend President Rousseff from office in a session presided over by House Speaker Eduardo Cunha, the president's nemesis. Hundreds of thousands of pro-impeachment supporters took to the streets and celebrated the decision in many Brazilian cities. President Rousseff was suspended for violating budget laws by allegedly using funds from state banks to cover budget shortfalls in order to exaggerate her government's economic performance, which contributed to her winning the second term in office. But some critics say the opposition has got the president suspended because they want to cover up a corruption scandal in which many of them are implicated, in which Brazil's biggest construction firms overcharged state oil company Petrobras for building contracts, and Petrobras executives, along with many opposition politicians, received kickbacks. President Rousseff was told to step aside for 180 days as head of government, and Vice President Michel Temer automatically became Brazil's interim president. However, Temer has already been criticized for having no women in his cabinet, the first time this has happened since 1979 when Brazil was a military state. His cabinet has also been attacked for lack of diversity, as there are no black Brazilians in Temer's government, who are the country's largest ethnicity. Michel Temer can become permanent and serve out President Rousseff's remaining time in office, which expires in 2018 if she resigns or is impeached for her criminal offense. President Rousseff once had one of the world's highest approval ratings at 92%, but now over 60% of the Brazilian citizens are in support of her impeachment. The International Criminal Court has been accused of targeting African leaders. Our reporter Jay Centino is here with a full report.
The International Criminal Court once again is taking hit from world leaders who don't like sitting on the hot seat. Thankfully, African statesmen know best, and the older they get, the more they protest. International treaties just serve Western interests, so we must put them to test rather than have them meddle in our business. President Museveni didn't miss the opportunity. He said it in the debate and said it once again. Every leader has the right to impunity, but even then, why not have an African court for African statesmen? Sudanese leader Bashir came to Museveni's inauguration. By himself, he chased away most of the Western delegation. He's wanted by the ICC for alleged atrocities, but Museveni laughed off the request. If they wanted to try Bashir, why not also Bush, Obama and the rest? Western presidents known for remotely stirring unrest. When it comes to rights and justice, the ICC used to offer a common basis, but since its inception, it has only tried leaders of African nations, and for that lost the trust of African leaders. I'm Jay Centino, reporting for Newsbeat.
Thank you, Jay Centino, for that report. Over 400,000 people die every year from malaria, a tropical disease that mostly affects Africa and Asia. The deadly disease has inspired two innovations, one to improve treatment and one for prevention. Mokta Dembele and Gerard Diondiko are Burkinabo students who invented Faso soap, a malaria-fighting soap that is a repellent made from shea butter, citronella, and herbs that repel insects. The soap leaves a repellent scent on the skin to keep away pests. Their innovation is affordable and can be used by anyone. On top of that, it contributes to hygiene, so it's a win-win. Even if bathing water collects in a puddle, sewer or in a corner, the herbs still repel mosquitoes breeding in the standing water. The innovation won the Global Social Venture competition, making them the first Africans and the first non-American winners. Nearby in Nigeria, a urine test for malaria was developed by a biotech firm called Fiodo Biotechnologies. The urine test kit helps to diagnose malaria in order to treat it right. A line appears on the strip to indicate if you have the parasite. It could put an end to the self-dangerous medication and the cost of time and money for medical consultation. The kit was nominated for the African Innovation Foundation and won the 2015 Health Innovation Challenge in Nigeria. The firm is targeting the African market as well as Asia. Between the urine kit and the Faso soap, African innovators have provided some hope in the battle against malaria across Africa and Asia. That was the news of the beat. Next week will be another hit. Still Ladies Like and Survivor. Reporting live and direct with love and respect. Follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat.
Follow the beat.
Follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat.
Follow the beat.